Me and Oak Clifford.
Do, is that sod place still available?
Yep, we still get salt there for the city.
Okay. They'll deliver it. and
They
stuff like
deliver it.
that?
Yeah. Sure do.
They gave Luke his results.
Okay, they're not supposed to do that. And then this, I got this from OMAG in the mail today, but it talks about police liability and it had some stuff about the immigration issue. And then it had stuff about Lexipol, and your name was in there for going to some kind of Leela training. I guess you're going to the Leela training?
Yes, for the city.
Yes, so,
It's like that goes. Sun is right
month training.
back of
Yeah.
my neck.
See, I care.
do you?
Do you really?
Yeah, he said he's getting ready to do that.
Okay, well, he's clean.
Up there.
They mow some of it. Yeah, I haven't been by there today.
But anyway, I thought I would just let you have that because it deals more with your department.
Good deal. We'll get it. If it dries out a little more, we'll get it.
My God, this is most people.
good.
I've seen here. Yeah, that's one of mine.
Pick me up Danny Pen out there.
I know it. That's just what I was going to bring up there too, though. Here. See if that works.
This one,
Yeah, thank you, sir.
I think he did it. I have so.
All right, everyone. I'd like to call the Eufaula City Council meeting to order at 5:30 on Monday, the 5th of August. Mr. Hickman, would you do the invocation, please? Everyone stand, please.
Pray with me. Most gracious Heavenly Father, God, we thank you so much for today. God, that this is a day that you have made. Let us rejoice in it. Let us look to Christ Jesus, our Lord and Savior. Lord, that God, that you would bless us with wisdom and guidance as we look to lead and guide our city. May we do it for your glory and honor, and let it be our joy as we come together tonight. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, Ms. Cox. There she is.
I'm down here. Vice Mayor Hickman,
Here.
Councilor Upton,
Here.
Mayor Warren,
Here.
Councilor Barton,
Here.
and Councilor Morgan is absent tonight.
All right, we have a quorum. Let's move on to our consent agenda. Item 5, approval of minutes. A, regular council meeting, July the 1st, 2024. Item 6, approval of the treasurer's report. Item 7, approval of July 2024 payroll figures for the general fund in the amount of $106,347.42. Item 8, receipt and approval of payment for July claims, City of Eufaula. Council?
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Vice Mayor Hickman,
Yes.
Councilor Upton,
Yes.
Mayor Warren,
Yes.
Councilor Barton.
Yes.
All yes, that passes. We'll move on to item number 9. We'll do, after the presentation by Ms. Seabold, Executive Director at Eastern Oklahoma Library System, concerning current and future Eufaula library activities.
Thank you.
Mhm.
have a handout for everyone that Amanda's going to be bringing around.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we want to start with just saying thank you to the city for all you do for the library and for our patrons in the community. The library is a needed service. We use it a lot, and I'm going to go through some numbers with you just to show you how much our patrons are using the library. And I want to thank Mr. Jones as well, who has been helping us over the last several months try to get the library open again. So as you know, yes, thank you very much. As you know, the library experienced some leaking over time in a variety of different ways, which caused mold in our building, which is dangerous. So we did the right thing and, shut it down, got people out of there, especially our employees, since it is dangerous, but also for the patrons. At that time, Mr. Jones stepped up and helped us get the mold remediated. Find out where all the leaks are, and start to fix those things. We're in the middle of that process and hopeful to get it done as quickly as we can so that we can move back into the library. But one of the things I want to talk with you about so that everyone in the community realizes the value of the library to the city in terms not only of quality of life for the people who live in this area, but quality of life for those who come in to visit. Not only the educational opportunities that we provide, but the monetary value that we provide to the city. So if you'll look at this sheet that looks like this, our three tenets are: we save people money, and we provide educational opportunities from the very young to the very old for free to seniors. And we also provide quality of life for our patrons as well. For example, if a patron wants to learn how to paint, learn how to a new skill for work, we have applications for that. We also have classes in our library every day for that. So you're going to see a variety of pictures here on this sheet that show some of those things that we do every day. All of that is free to the patrons. So this saves them money, which in turn they can spend in your city on something else. So this value statement shows the number of books that are checked out, the number of times that patrons come through our doors, the number of times they access our computers for free, and the number of times they access the Wi-Fi for free. There are very few times that you drive up to the library that you don't see someone even outside in their car accessing free Wi-Fi. It is a problem in this area. Connection becomes an issue for people who live in this area sometimes. And in areas where we have an increased number of people who live at or below the poverty line, we all know it's important to have those resources for our patrons. If you put all of that together in a monetized value, that's $668,496 back to the city of Eufaula in terms of saving money for people so they can spend their dollars someplace else in your city. How do we do this? One, your generous help in helping us have a building, a place to go, a place that has electricity, has locks on the doors, all of those things. That's your contribution to this, as well as maintenance. And we thank you for that, because without it, we couldn't do what we do. We get our money from ad valorem tax. So we spend our money on the wonderful people sitting here, many of them who work in the library. In the city of Eufaula, we pay $291,000 every year in salaries for people who live in your community and spend dollars in your community. And then in addition to that, we purchase all of the books in the library. We purchase all of the shelving in the library. We support all of the programs. We buy all of the materials. All of those things are our contribution. If you don't know much about how libraries were set up in Oklahoma, this was the idea. It needs to be a collaboration. The county will do their part, the city will do their part, and then we will make sure that services happen in the community. So this is the same agreement that we have across all of our cities. So again, we thank you for all that you are doing. I have some pictures of things that Jeb and his crew have been able to improve for us over the last few months. You'll see the top pictures are just some water damage that's happened in the building. Those things have already been taken care of largely with city help. Also, the siding on the eaves was kind of damaged from sun and time, and they've replaced that as well and have painted it since this picture has been taken. The next page, you'll see some of the mold on the walls. The water pools up around the windows there, and that with a lot of other things that Mr. Jones can probably explain better than me, has caused those windows to leak a lot, and you'll see that there was some mold growing there. The company that came in and remediated, pulled all of those things off, remediated the mold, and then put the sheetrock back up. So we've been able to do that. The thing that we haven't been able to do yet are the windows in that area. We'll talk a little bit more about that in a minute. On the next page, you'll see some other things that have been taken care of. When the remediators came in and started taking down some of the sheetrock, they also found that termites had been in that area because it was so moist. Not a lot of wood for them to chew on, so they decided to chew on the sheetrock. But there are other things that need to be done still. And because this is a collaboration and we want it to be a collaboration, there are some things that we propose to you that you allow us to do in the library to take this repair work that we've been doing to the next level. We want not only to repair the damage, but we want to improve the library at the same time. The library was built in 1984, 85. And it really, aside from an upgrade in the bathroom and some paint here and there, it really hasn't been updated since then. One of the main issues is the carpet. The carpet needs to be replaced. You'll see that it over by the computer area, it's very wrinkled, which is a tripping hazard to patrons. And then also there's some damage there that we had to cut out, and that just hasn't been replaced yet. The lighting is an issue in the building. It's quite dark, and it's just because the design of the building. The light is not coming from the ceiling, but coming from the sides of the walls, and typically kind of halfway covered up with some decorative molding. And so that makes it really dark in the center of the room. So we just took a couple of pictures to show you there that it gets pretty dark in there. If you look at the picture that is on page 4, it's over to the right, second one down. It shows you kind of the lighting from the ceiling. And the lighting, even though it comes from the ceiling, is just not adequate to fill the whole space. Part of that is because you have an open space in the middle, but on the sides you have lower ceiling in those areas, just the way it's designed. So it's really difficult to light that. So one of the things that we want to make sure that we are able to do is retain those windows in that area. That's the children's area. That's where the leaking has happened. And we really need those replaced because taking that light out would really make that room dark. And studies show in libraries, everyone goes toward the windows to sit down. This is why we have our tables over by the windows, because people gravitate to lighted areas. So we have been talking with Mr. Jones about that, and we're hopeful that we are able to fix those windows and not just cover them up. The other thing that we would like to point out is the bathrooms have been updated. The restrooms were updated several years ago. They still look great, even though we do have one idea that we'd like to have for that. So our proposal to you is to allow us to add value to the money that you've already put toward the building, for us to go in and paint the walls, to replace all of the flooring except for the restroom, because the restroom flooring has been most recently updated, but the other flooring has not been updated. So that would include the lobby area, the main library area, as well as the event area in the back. I've asked the board if they would help pay for that. They and the Friends of the Library as well. So we have been seeking funds to help, to show that we're a collaborative partner and we want our library to be the very best that it can be. We have right now requests out for funding. We've secured $10,000 from the Friends of the Library. Thank you, Friends of the Library, who are here. The EOLS trustees have matched that with another 10. We have requested $1,000 from 7 different companies here in the community. We've already raised the funding that we were seeking from them, and we are not even close to being finished with that yet. We have a larger request out to a local foundation for $30,000. This all adds up to $55,000 that we would like to put into the library for these repairs. The other additional dollars that we get from the businesses in the community will go to help us to include some new tables and chairs in the main library as well. So my request, 2, 1, can we please not cover up the windows and repair them? It's really important to have the light. And 2, will you allow us to work with Mr. Jones and his team on picking a color scheme and picking out the materials and getting them installed? We have an estimate for you, and it's just an estimate. We've of course not entered into any contract or anything like that, but you'll see an estimate from Madewell Construction. We just needed an idea about how much the repairs would cost. And if you look through that, the other thing that it includes is in the restrooms to just replace the metal stalls, just quite frankly, so we can get a different color. It's 1985 color. And we just want a neutral color that matches the rest of the restroom. So the other thing that I would like to talk with you about is the agreement. We originally had an agreement with the city that outlined what we contribute to the library, what the city contributes to the library. It's just a basic agreement. It is out of date, so I thought it might be a really good time for us to just take a look at a new agreement. It's the same agreement that it was, when we originally signed it with you. And so I will leave it with you. It's in your packet. I've been working with the cities on, anything that you might want to add to it, change, tweak. We're open to that. We just want to get an agreement in place that fits all of our needs and ensures that we have library service for the citizens of Eufaula. So with that, and it's on the left-hand side is the contract. So Ms. Wall, I will leave it in your capable hands to look that over. And if you need anything, you can let me know. We can meet, talk about it. Any questions?
I do have one for you.
Yep.
On this construction part, the remodeling and things like that, do they have time frame that they can get this done, completed?
They are, anything that we kind of come back to them. I met with him last week. They're ready to get going on it. We have, one of our bigger asks is out to a foundation. We won't know until the beginning of September whether or not we actually get that funding. But if we don't get that, we will seek other avenues. But I feel pretty good about it, so.
So what you're looking, just kind of recapping, and again, thank you very much for your presentation.
Oh,
It's
thank
very
you.
good. I have grown up at that library myself. So what you're asking is just for us to allow you to work with Mr. Jones and to allow you then to work on the construction.
Yeah.
And picking out the colors.
Yes, asking that, and then, consider, and I don't know where we are on it, but the windows in the children's area, it's been really difficult because of the way they were, they were designed and put in, but, not losing those is important.
I love those windows.
Jeb,
I sat
where
before
would the
those.
funding come from?
Clay.
On the windows itself?
For the total package, 55.
Okay, so the $55,000 is going to come through the Gelvin Foundation contribution if that's made, as well as the other donations that they're seeking locally. Our contribution to this has been in the 2 or 3 recent months has been to take care of the mold remediation. They found a company out of McAllister. They came in, did the remediation. We absorbed that cost. We found some leaks in the roof, as well as the west entrance where the facade had rotted. So we came in with our crews, tore that down, recovered, re-roofed, and repaired all of that. We've done all the sheetrock work, I think, with the exception of possibly the mechanical room in the back.
Right, yeah.
And we replaced all the ceiling tiles that were stained. I mean, we replaced every ceiling tile in it, clean, dirty. They were old. The windows themselves. So when they put the windows in, the windows were basically the windows were setting as almost like they built everything around it rather than framing it in and dropping them in. So that has been the source of the leak, and it's also a source of the lighting, like Ms. Siebel's talking about. We have concerns with how we put it back to make sure that we can get a long-term fix so we don't have to come back and make, again, water repairs and deal with water damage at any time in the future. So we have solicited requests from 3 different window vendors. We only received 1 response. That was Mr. Glass out of Muskogee. So Mr. Glass has come down. They've invested some time in digging into the windows, seeing what we're having to deal with. All right. So long story short, the windows that are in are not salvageable. Okay. So they're going to have to be replaced 100%. We talked about a lot of different options. We were going to cover a couple of the windows that are closest to the corners because that's where the water was coming off of the roof. They were a 2-piece window. It hit the center section, and again, the water permeated through the wall and created a water issue. After talking with Mr. Glass, they have a single piece replacement, which is a solid frame. They just have the frame around with 1 single glass. So that should take care of the leaking issues, as well as the way that they put them in, because those windows should have a drain plate on the bottom of them. So that way, if water makes it through, it hits the plate, takes it outside the building, not back inside the building. The cost for those windows the estimate at this point is $18,000 to replace all 5 of those windows. Again, all the improvements that we're making, whether it's the mold remediation, we're taking out of the capital improvement fund,
That's what
CIP fund. Again, the windows would come out of the CIP fund because that's what that fund's made for. It's for capital items, and this definitely fits that definition.
Okay.
Like with because just kind of dealing with several window companies, have we checked out like thermal windows. It's like out of Tulsa.
All of these
because
are-
they make custom windows.
They do. These are custom-made windows.
Yeah.
And so they are they have an E value on them, gas filled
Yeah.
and
Argon,
everything.
yeah.
So they're going to be efficient.
Sure,
We will
sure.
still see a difference in the utility costs
Yeah.
because of this opening, or, because of the windows and the current conditions. So as it stands right now, if they don't change their plans, they will be here tomorrow to deal with the DHS building, as well as we will be at the library tomorrow to pull the old windows out. Then we'll go in and just frame them and block them off with plywood. They'll tell us how to frame them, what we need to do to prep them properly. Then they'll get their measurements, and then they can order the windows.
Okay.
So it's still another 2 to 3 weeks out.
Sure.
But the one thing that we're going to do, we're going to fix it right.
So where the water's standing in this one, we're gonna raise that up to have a wall there instead of it being almost ground level.
Well, we're going to go ahead and leave them the full length is what we're going to do. What we need to do is we need to go in, drop in some French drains and get that water to drain away from the building and everything is what we need to do. And there needs to be, one of the other things that we need to look at long-term is probably some guttering on the building itself. That way we can control where that water comes off the roof and direct it to where it's beneficial for us.
And one thing I'd like to do going forward is just, work with Mr. Jones on projecting out, just improvements so that we know, if we need to fundraise, we're more than willing to do that. Also, USDA has rural development dollars. We're willing to, write grants or help write grants or whatever we need to do going forward. But if we could get a 5-year plan or something like that so that we are, keeping up with things and not reacting to things.
Yeah, and I completely, I love the windows. I love the windows. It's as a kid, it's like, oh, you can go stand in front of
Yeah.
the window.
Exactly.
And I kind of look at it too. If you have good windows, because I think in the long run, when you start adding lighting and bringing on electrical, that becomes you start comparing now apples and apples
Yes.
for lighting,
Mm-hmm.
and that can become almost even more expensive.
You'll notice in the Madewell too, there is a lighting, that's a part of what we want to do. And, this may go up or whatever, but we'll work on, getting the funding and getting it done. So if you guys want to look at the agreement and come back at that, at a different time, that's totally fine.
So do we
Anyone
do.
else?
need to make a motion?
There's no action.
No action,
The way we've written the agenda item, there won't be any required action. We'll take the agreement. Kay will review it. Then we will take and with any changes made between now and next month, and then with the goal of bringing it back next month to get that approval
Sounds
by
good.
council.
Can I get a copy of your presentation for the record?
Yep, you bet. All right, thank you again. We appreciate it.
Thank you
Have a
very
good
much.
night.
One speaker. Gail Rose.
Good evening. I'm Gail Rose. I'm the president of the Friends of Eufaula Memorial Library. I'd like to introduce our board and committee members to you. Lenore Bechtel is our vice president in the green here. Robin Burris is our treasurer in the blue. Carol Thrasher is our secretary. Carol here? Okay. Kate Quinn is our head of membership. We have 17 lifetime supporters with about 70 in our regular network. Per our bylaws, our purpose is to advance and encourage appreciation, understanding, enjoyment, and public use of the educational and cultural facilities at the library, and to cooperate, when appropriate, with other groups to improve the cultural and educational activities of the community. Our group has been a strong voice in the community since 1987. We are library patrons, educators, community leaders, business professionals, and family members. We value the library for the resource it is, serving all of our community, promoting education, and keeping us all connected. We wish to thank you for making the library building a priority. We thank you for the repairs that have been completed. We thank you for the repairs yet to be completed. Library buildings in any city or town should be and usually are havens of respite and information. The building should be maintained to the highest standard possible. The library resources need expanded space. We agree with the library staff that the following are needed: a larger meeting room or second meeting room, a larger workroom for staff, a break room for staff, small private conference rooms, drive-up book drop where book returns can go directly into the building, more floor room for more shelving, more storage, and more parking. We wish to be on record that we require the maintenance repairs be completed immediately so that the library can reopen. We also require that ongoing maintenance must be a higher priority than it has been. Maintenance items had been reported. Closing the library for repairs was avoidable. We fully support the operation and expansion of the library. We support expanding the current building. We support the construction of a new library building. We, the Friends of Eufaula Memorial Library, fully support all activities of the library. We are dedicated to being a voice for library needs. You may be assured that we will be vigilant in this. We look forward to working well with the City of Eufaula to see that the library continues to be maintained and further expanded. I and all the library supporters thank you.
Thank you. All right, we'll move on to item 10. Consideration of acceptance, approval, adoption, rejection, amendment, and/or postponement of ordinance 24-8-1 rezoning from AG Agriculture to CG Commercial General, the following location. This is going to be lengthy, guys. A tract of land lying in the southwest corner of Section 34, Township 10 North, Range 16 East of the Indian Meridian, State of Oklahoma, being more particularly described as follows: commencing at the south corner of said Section 34, thence along the east line of said Southwest 4, North 1 degree 46, my goodness gracious, 410, 8 feet to a point on the northwesterly right-of-way of State Highway number 9, and said point being the point of beginning, thence along a non-tangent curve to the right, having a radius of 1,382.40 feet, a chord bearing of south 66 degrees 3404 west, a chord length of 948.89 feet for a distance of 966.58 feet. Thence south 86 degrees 3825 west 169.48 feet. Then south 88 2721 west 285.20 feet to a point on the cast line of the Buck subdivision, in addition to McIntosh County. Thence departing and said right of way along said east line, north 1 degree 3047 west 502.82 feet. Thence departing said right, said line of north 89 degrees 19.654.46 feet. Thence parallel with the east line of said Southwest 4, north 1 degree 4644 west 1,022.14 feet. Thence south 85 degrees 4613 east 683.63 feet to a point on the east line of said Southwest 4, from which the center quarter C4 corner bears north 1 degree 4644 west, or beginning between containing 1,225,291 square feet or 28.13 acres, more or less commonly known as a tract of land between Buck Street and Helm Small Engine Repair along State Highway 9. Mr. Jones, why didn't you read that?
So, Mr. McClatchy is the owner of that property. And I don't know if Mr. McClatchy's here or a realtor representing him. Would you'd like to step up to speak about it? I can tell you while she's coming up, they approached plans on Their plan is to rezone the highway frontage along that piece of property from ag to commercial. I think it would help make it a much more marketable piece of property. And so I'll let her speak to it.
Okay. It's all yours.
Yeah, so I'm Cynthia Dalbo. I'm a local realtor. I help investors kind of do similar things to this. This is my first round in splitting it up for commercial usage. So I'm kind of new to some of the hoops to jump through. But we have a residential side to it that's not going to actually, homes will be built, but it's going to stay agricultural. That's the hope and the goal for that side. It seems to conform a lot to the community to keep it that way. So we could have kind of pushed it and done more 1 acre lots and things like that. But the survey and the plat we've done on that side of the property is in more favor to conform to the area and keep 5 to 6 acre parcels over there. And then for the commercial part that's of question today, because I know that I've kind of touched on that because that's been neighboring questions a lot that have called about what's happening to the other side of the land. But for the Highway 9 frontage, conformity there as well works better as commercial. There's commercial next to it with the Helm Small Engine Repair already. The school across the way, I think it would be beneficial to have some commercial out that direction and kind of feed the traffic from Main Street both directions. So the amount of traffic that drives that highway as well is high numbers in the 6,000s daily. So there's amenities that are needed over there to expand and for other local residents that direction. I don't know if I should open it up to questions, but that's kind of all there is to that. 28 acres, more or less, that it is already surveyed, so that will not change the layout of how they want to do that, besides it being accepted or not. So,
Council, you have any other questions?
So that's the old Buck property, right? Sam Buck property?
no, it was the Stauffer family.
What?
The Stauffer family, and Bucks may have been the original.
Okay,
I'm not
it was.
Okay, yes,
That's a long time.
okay.
For us old folks, that's a long
Yes,
time.
yeah.
So, council, you have a copy of the ordinance in front of you. That's, anytime we do an ordinance, that's what's required of us by statute. You have the ordinance itself, the signature page, and then the long version of the description that Todd read is on the attachment A, final page. So
This one before the planning and zoning board.
this has been before planning and zoning. It was a unanimous vote
That's what I was asking.
to pass and recommend the rezoning from agriculture to general commercial.
I think this is a good rezoning.
I agree.
I make the motion to approve and rezone from agriculture to commercial on the following property.
I'll second.
Vice Mayor Hickman,
Yes.
Councilor Upton,
Yes.
Mayor Warren,
Yes.
Councilor Barton.
Yes.
All yes, that motion carries.
Thank you so much.
Mr. Jones, if we ever have a description like that again, I'm gonna tongue twisting tied. and-
We'll just do a handout.
All right. That is approved. We'll move on to item 11, consideration of acceptance, approval, adoption, rejection, amendment, and/or postponement to nominate a representative to serve on the Eastern Oklahoma Development District Board of Directors to complete the 3-year term, which ends June 30th, 2025.
I'm sorry. So for the EODD, the Eastern Oklahoma Development District, as always, you have to have an elected member and from the council. Then the council in the past has voted for me to be the alternate. So we still, even though I attend most of the meetings, the councilman or council person has that ability to do, but I'm there to fill in if you're unable to, which is what I have been doing. All right. So we just basically need to appoint an official representative that will go on to the roster, the EODD roster, and then I can continue to be that alternate and fill that meeting schedule. So,
Well, since Tisha's not here, I'll probably suggest her, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. I nominate Tisha Morgan for this.
I second.
All right. I guess we need a roll call.
She'll be real happy.
She'll probably be hunting your head.
Vice Mayor Hickman,
Yes.
Councilor Upton,
Yes.
Mayor Warren,
Yes.
Council Parker.
Yes.
All yes, that motion carries. We'll move on to item 12. Consideration of acceptance, approval, adoption, rejection, amendment, and/or postponement to declare 9 shotguns, 1 public works vehicle, and 2 police department units as surplus, authorizing the city manager to dispose of the surplus items in the most appropriate manner.
all right, I'm trying to get to the list. I want to make sure that way if you have any questions about the list. There we go.
Yeah.
That's what I'm looking for. All right. So the part of the surplus list involves some weapons. They are different older model shotguns, Mossberg, Smith & Wesson, Winchester, as well as there's a Ruger Mini 14, Chief, is that correct? That we're wanting to, replace, declare surplus so we can get them moved out and possibly use them maybe as a trade on replacement weapons. The plan is you have a lot different climate now when it comes to different security issues, school, public events and whatnot, that the department would like to make a move to more of a tactical weapons. And so this is the first step, is to declare the weapons as surplus and allow us to move those out. And then the vehicle aspect of it, we have an old Charger, an old Crown Vic, and a Dodge Magnum within the Public Works that we would like to have declared surplus as well, which would allow us to dispose of them properly. So we ask for your consideration and a vote to approve the surplus list.
I think it's a good idea. I'll make a motion to approve.
I second.
Go ahead.
I second.
Vice Mayor Hickman,
Yes.
Councilor Upton,
Yes.
Mayor Warren,
Yes.
Councilor Parker.
Yes.
All yes, that motion carries. Now we'll go on to item 13, consideration of acceptance, approval, adoption, rejection, amendment, and/or postponement to award the fire department electrical project.
So over the last probably 3 to 4 months, I have struggled to be able to find a vendor that A, could quote it, and B, would actually submit a price. So I've been able to secure 4 quotes or 3 quotes. First quote is Winslet Heat and Air. Now Winslet, although when you look at the heading of his invoice, he says out of Jay, Oklahoma, he's actually down at Crowder is where he actually operates his business at. Then I took and solicited Parker Welding, which David Parker is a part owner in, I think it's Cook's Wired Up, and he provided a quote. And then I solicited a quote from Eastern Oklahoma Electric. They're out of, I don't remember where they're out of, just off the top of my head. Glenpool. All 3 are qualified. All 3 we finally got quotes from, but as you look through the prices, you can see there's a drastic difference in these prices. Winslet Heat and Air was low bid at $61,452.90. Parker Welding was at $72,700, and Eastern Oklahoma Electric was at $94,281.17. I made phone calls to all after the quotes were submitted and to make sure that we were all on the same page and what we were bidding, what we were requesting, and all were comfortable with what they bid as far as what the project was. All were comfortable with the quote that they provided. So with Winslet Heat and Air being the low quote, my recommendation is that we approve Winslet Heat and Air at $61,452.90. Now, keep in mind that anytime that you're doing bidding projects, that there can be a small window where you might be able to use a local vendor, but it's very narrow, and because state statute guides what we do. Okay, so that being said, because of an $11,000 window between the two, that's not something that can be made up. It's not something that we can defend going outside that process. So I just want to say that up front, because I know that a lot of times people say, well, how come you didn't use a local vendor? Or, how come we didn't use a local guy? Well, we have process and procedures and statutes that we have to follow. And
That's right.
so the funding for this is ARPA money, as the fire department has been. I believe that when we get the electric going, we should have the concrete drainage pipe for the driveway, and then we'll do the front driveway, the front parking. Once we do that, then my goal is to see where we're at, tally everything up, see, I want to make sure to see exactly what we have left, and then we'll decide where we're at as we move forward. I got a feeling that based on my math, I think that we'll probably be when we get done with all these aspects of it, we'll be in that $90,000 range. And at that point, we'll have to decide, do we want to finish the concrete outside, beside the building and behind? Or do we want to move inside and start working on the training area, the office space, and bathrooms and facilities inside? Okay. So a little extra information other than electric, but just so you know where we're at with the project. So my recommendation is Winslet Heat and Air.
Well, I'll make the motion that we accept the lower bid. Winslet, I think I didn't understand exactly. Winslet. At that amount.
I'll second.
Vice Mayor Hickman,
Yes.
Councilor Upton,
Yes.
Mayor Warren,
Yes.
Councilor Barton.
Yes.
All right. All yes, that motion is approved. Item 13. We'll go to item 14, consideration of acceptance, approval, adoption, rejection, amendment, and/or postponement of a plan to pursue and obtain additional funding for capital improvement projects through municipal financing, including sales tax and general obligation bonds.
So what I have before you is this is meant to be the start of a conversation. The start of the conversation to discuss street improvement, and possibly a start of the conversation to include other capital projects that may or may not be accessible through some form of funding. In the past, it was in 2019, the council at that time discussed streets, and I think, Roger, you might have been on the board at that
Yes, I
time.
will.
Because the thought at that time is because we were currently beginning the water project and moving forward with sewer project, that it really wasn't the time to address streets, because if we would try to address streets, then we would just be projects would be stepping on other project toes. All right. So we've completed the water. We're probably 50% through the sewer project. And so now it's time, I think, to start looking at street improvements. As we all know, it's easy to set off and tick off a number of streets that we need to improve. But that being said, the cost of streets improvement, is expensive. You have the option of trying to fund it through your budget, which is prohibitive. You have the option to search out grant funding, which I'm not going to tell you there aren't grant applications and opportunities out there, but when a small town like Eufaula has to compete with state agencies or larger government agencies or different tribal agencies, it's very competitive. And, I'm not going to say we wouldn't apply, because we will. But to be successful doing that, I think is going to be tough. I think we got to be realistic about it. So that pares us down from a funding mechanisms of property tax or sales tax. Now, with property tax, you're taking the burden of different projects and you're putting it solely on the property owners at a level dependent upon the amount of financing that you go for and you seek out. On the other hand, you could use sales tax. Obviously, it spreads that expense out over not only our local population, but also the tourism and tourists and people that come into and out of our town. So there is an estimate that we've completed a Eastern Oklahoma Development District. We've just completed a CIP plan, capital improvement plan. In this plan, we have, some different street ideas and whatnot. The funding estimate out of this plan for the streets that a third party identifies. This third party is an employee of EODD. This is what she does. She does CIP grants 24/7. And so she goes into a lot of towns. She's got a pretty good pulse on different construction costs and milling costs and overlay costs. But, her estimate for the streets is $4.2 million, almost 4.3. Now, she has picked the obvious streets as we go downtown, when whether it's McKinley or Foley. We could talk Lakeshore. There's different streets that definitely need attention. But there's some things that we might be able to do to actually improve our streets and maybe reroute some traffic. Front Street is, I think, an option that could possibly be made some form of a truck route to help pull maybe some truck traffic off of Main Street. That's just an idea. Okay, so anything we're talking about, at least at this point, is an idea.
Hey, Jeb, how many streets do we have in Eufaula?
How many streets?
How many? I knew at one time it was a lot more than what we think.
Let me make sure I'm reading my list right. 204.
Yeah.
204 streets. So, we won't be able to touch every street. We should be able to touch every ward. I think it's important that each ward gets attention. There's going to be streets that, to me, regardless of ward, probably needs to be looked at. Foley is one of those streets. McKinley's one of those streets. Maybe it's Locust or Third Street. J.C. Watts is another street. Lake Shore, all right? So we've got to be able to put our heads together and think about what are our priorities? Long-term, we know what we would like to have now, but where we need to be 5 years down the road and 10 years down the road. Because that's really what we're setting ourselves up for. A lot of the things that we plan now, we might not see the results for 3, 4, 5 years, at the quantity that we would like to see. But I think that the more time we spend planning, and if we have a functional, sound plan, then I think it would be, it's worth every minute that we put into it. So, I'm kind of interested, a little bit of an opinion, different thoughts that the council might have. We aren't going to make a decision. There's no decision to really be made, although I did write the agenda item where there could be a decision. But, I think that we probably would benefit from a future special meeting dealing strictly with streets to start with, and to include other capital items. Because when we go and do the math and look at the different funding options, there might be some different things that we may be able to put together. Maybe sales tax is part of it, and maybe there is a little bit of property tax, aspect of it. But again, that's what the council and the public.
Jeb, I know that you can't give us a price or try to give us a price of what would it cost for just one block of blacktop? Is there any idea, just an estimate what that might be?
Well, I've got a different, another one. Okay. So just for a 2 mil overlay, all right, a 2 mil overlay.
For one block?
It's $142 per linear foot. So $750,000 for a mile, $350 for a half, $175 for a quarter mile. Okay, so if you get a quarter mile, you're probably looking at 3 to 4 blocks, depending upon your block length, maybe 5. So I mean, we're talking about serious money and a serious project that's going to, it's really got to be dived into from a detail aspect of it. Because if it's just overlay, that's fine and dandy. But as we all know, we have streets that don't need overlay. We have streets that need to be rebuilt.
Yeah.
We need to add some drainage. And we all know the drainage issues we have here in town. Not more than 45 days ago, a 3-inch rain in 45 minutes. There's nothing we can do with that drainage. That's act of God that we just have to deal with it.
Now, Main Street is Highway 69, so they're responsible for that.
That's their
And
responsibility.
that's going to happen in the next couple of years.
2025 is 8 years on their 8-year plan.
Yeah.
I met with them last year. I met with them again about 30 to 45 days ago. And as far as they know, at this point, at the Muskogee level, nothing's changed.
2025.
Now, the one thing I pointed out to them was whatever is done, we really want to have it done late fall through the winter to spring.
Yeah.
Because if we try to do a highway project in this town in May, June, July, it's not going to be good. It won't be good.
No, it's going to be,
And it would affect the sales tax.
yes.
So the key for us is out of season for us.
And when they done it last time, I can't remember what year, but they done a lot of it at nighttime.
Yeah.
They done a lot of that work on Main Street at nighttime.
So, just to give you a comparison from overlay for a mile at a 2 mil overlay at $753,000 for a mile. If you were to do a rebuild with 6 inches of asphalt, 6 inches of ag base, depending upon the amount of drainage and different stabilization you may have to do, you're looking at $1.5 million for a mile. For 6-inch concrete with 6-inch ag base, it's basically the same number. It's 1.549, where overlay was 1.552 per mile. So
So can you kind of discuss like kind of the process? So like we would make the decision to increase or go with one of the two or maybe both.
I think it would be important for us to take and sit down and have another meeting.
Yeah.
To try to identify the streets. I really think in a project like this, I think some sound engineering advice would be very important. We've got to be able to sit down and say, okay, engineering wise, this is how we evaluate the streets. We think that we need, this block is going to require X, this block is going to require Y. That way we can have a firm estimate, all right, on different streets that we're going to do. And then at that point, we can say, this is our cost.
Yeah.
And at the point we have our cost, then we can come back and have that meeting to say, okay, we want to try to fund it this way. No matter if you fund it with sales tax or if you fund it with a GO bond, all right, it's going to require a vote of the public.
Okay, that's what I was asking.
And in order to get, I think it's November, if we filed in November, and I don't have all my election numbers just firm yet, but I think if we filed in November, I think it's a February. You know, hang on.
As she's looking at,
Last week was the cutoff for some February things.
Mhm. So it'd probably be March, April, you know, so we have time.
Yeah.
All right. But I think that the better plan, the more information that we can develop and stand on, and then to put that out in the public and let them, you know, it's going to be it's a big decision.
and I think it's really important that we do need to get that engineering survey on the roads, because if you drive around Lakeshore, it looks like it's about to wash out on parts of it.
There's no base.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
There's
And so-
absolutely no base.
So, I mean, having that in hand, I think is a very important thing. And then we could, like you're saying, come back and
Right.
see how much the cost would be. And I think that would be good for the
Right.
public and our streets.
There's maybe some different, you know, not just tearing it out and hauling it off and putting ag base in. There might be a way to go in and pulverize what's there. To go in and add, you know, like you see them do on 69. They come in, they'll put in mixed dry concrete,
Mhm.
mix it in, level it out, wet it, pack it, and they create their base that way.
Sure.
So we might be able to do some things like that would stretch our dollars farther.
Sure.
And at the same time, we were able to reuse what's there. But then you got other streets in this town, and I'll use Foley as an example. The asphalt on Foley Street is probably 16 inches thick. And you can dig a hole in Foley Street and you can go back and you can see where they did chip and seal for the first road.
Yeah.
You can actually see it. It's in the layers.
So,
Well, when they come and core sampled some of those, you can see they pulled that core out.
Yeah.
You can see every layer.
Every step. Yeah. And, you know, some of the drainage issues we have is because of the number of overlays. It was the most effective thing to do. It's the most cost-effective thing to do. But at the same time, some of that is what creates some of our drainage issues today.
Yeah.
You know.
so do we need to give you permission to go out and get bids to see about a survey on the roads? I mean, would that be a part of to get bids so we can kind of at least get the ball
I think if we
moving?
go out, because it's engineering and it's professional service, we could go out and do an RFP or an RFQ, request for a proposal, request for quotes.
Okay.
And then we can make that first step And then we can decide who we would like to engage to do that
Okay. And the costs.
and the cost of it. So we'll know that up front. And then we'll, take the next step is going to be, okay, let's evaluate where are we at? What do we need? What are our priorities? Because just for argument's sake, Lakeshore might be a priority for some, but not for others. And so we've got to kind of figure that out. And what are those priorities and what do we need to do with them? So,
I make the motion that we allow Jeb to go and research for RFPs to survey the roads.
I second.
Vice Mayor Hickman,
Yes.
Counselor Upton,
Yes.
Mayor Warren,
Yes.
Counselor Barton.
Yes.
All yes, that motion carries. All right, item 15. Remarks, inquiries by council. Mr. Hookham, do you have anything?
I do not.
Mr. Upton?
No, sir.
I know.
I do.
Oh, Roger.
Yeah. On Locust, going up to under Highway 69, the right of way needs to be cut again. It's about waist high and there's a lot of trash that needs to be picked up. On Palmer Lane, Creek Nation or the Eufaula Dormitory, there's 2 lots there that's grown up, needs to be taken care of.
So today I discussed that with our code enforcement officer and I pointed him in the direction of the tribal housing office there. I didn't talk to him this afternoon, but I should have an answer in the morning and I'll be able to update you then about how that conversation went
Okay.
and whatnot.
Yeah.
So,
Also, the lot north of Best Western, it's, I don't know who owns it. There's a real estate sign there and I don't know who the real estate person would be, but it's grown up. It needs to be taken care of. It has been in the past, but it hadn't for a year.
Okay.
That's kind of an eyesore for people coming into town.
we can. We'll take care of it.
Yeah,
That's all I have.
okay. Any announcements? No announcements. All right, I make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
Vice Mayor Hickman,
Yes.
Counselor Upton,
Yes.
Mayor Warren,
Yes.
Counselor Barton.
Yes.
All right, we adjourned. Now we're going to move right on into the Eufaula Public Works Authority at 6:35.
Vice
Well-
Mayor. Vice Mayor Hickman.
Here.
Counselor Upton.
Here.
Mayor Warren.
Here.
Counselor Barton.
Here.
And Counselor Morgan is out.
All right, we have a quorum. Let's go to the consent agenda. Approval of minutes, A, regular Public Works Authority meeting, July 1, 2024. Item 3, approval of July 2024 payroll figures for the Eufaula Public Works Authority in the amount of $35,677.49. Receipt and approval of payment for July claims, Eufaula Public Works Authority. I make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
I second.
Vice Mayor Hickman.
Yes.
Counselor Upton.
Yes.
Mayor Warren.
Yes.
Counselor Barton.
Yes.
All yes, the consent agenda passes. Items removed from the consent agenda. Item 5, consideration of acceptance, approval, adoption, rejection, amendment, and/or postponement of Eufaula Sewer Project Change Order Number 2. Mr. Jones.
Mayor and council, as Lone Hickory's been working on the sewer project and has worked their way down the hill and across the railroad tracks, because of the condition of some of the concrete lines, rather than bursting, we had to dig. Okay, so what this change order does, it recognizes the change in open ditch repair and pipe bursting repair. We needed to change those line item quantities. And then also because of that change, if we had to go dig it, then we didn't need to TV it, right? And so it lowers the quantities of the TV inspections that, raises the quantity of the pre and the post TV inspections. So by the time you do the adjustments, the ups and the downs of whether it was asphalt, whether it's concrete, whether it was open dig, whether it was pipe burst, or whether there was a pre and post video inspections involved, it resulted in a net cost decrease of $2,255. So it's basically just a housekeeping, adjusting those quantities. That way we keep our numbers in line as we move through the project.
So we just need to accept change order number 2.
Yes, sir.
So I make the motion to accept change order number 2.
I'll second.
Vice Mayor Hickman,
Yes.
Counselor Upton,
Yes.
Mayor Warren,
Yes.
Counselor Barton.
Yes.
All yes, that motion carries. Let's go to item 6, consideration of acceptance, approval, adoption, rejection, amendment, and/or postponement of pay application number 16 from Lone Hickory Cattle LLC for the Clean Water State Revolving Fund Sewer Project in the amount of $127,788.07.
So this pay app number 16 is covering that same area that we just talked about, third, grand, second, because we had to dig all that. And then what they've completed over on the east side of the railroad tracks. They've started in the overflow parking lot, made their way up behind the mobile home park. We did have to skip a section of line through the mobile home park because there's actually trailers situated on top of it.
Yeah.
So
Were you able to go into the diesel lift station?
yes. So the diesel as far as for the sewer,
Yeah.
okay, they went to the manhole out, not the one directly outside on the corner. There's one across the road.
Right, in the big parking lot.
That's right. They stopped
Okay.
right there.
Okay.
Yeah. So
This is normal pay.
just a normal payout, normal routine.
I'll make a motion to approve the payment.
I'll second.
Vice Mayor Hickman,
Yes.
Counselor Upton,
Yes.
Mayor Warren,
Yes.
and Counselor Barton.
Yes.
All yes, that motion carries. Item 7, adjournment.
Making the motion to adjourn.
Vice Mayor Hickman,
Yes.
Counselor Upton.
Yes.
Mayor Warren, and
Yes.
Counselor Barton.
Yes.
I think you need to read that right description again.